Hello and welcome to your GG replay for Friday, July 2nd, 2021. Hey, look at that. We're moving on in the world. We are past our first month of GG replay. GG replay is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday podcast where we go through the latest in gaming news, hosted by the Goodnight Groofs, a place for games and a place for goofs. We're still workshopping that tagline. I am Paul, and I am joined as always by my buddy here, Matt. How are you doing today, Matthew?
I'm good. The replay today is a beefy boy. So we got 6 pretty big stories today.
It's a big one. Just gaming news came out. I feel like Friday isn't always gaming news city, but today it truly is. So we have a lot to go through, and we'll make it nice and easy for you with our initial off-the-cuff stuff. We won't spend too much time dilly-dallying. Corrections, we have none. We're perfect. We're wonderful. But if you happen to find that we did make any mistakes and there are any necessary corrections in today's episode, send them to ggreplayshow@gmail.com. Or if you're watching on YouTube, head on down to the YouTube comments so we can address them in the next episode. Also, if you're not watching on YouTube, feel free to go on YouTube. If you're listening in a podcast, watch it twice. We won't judge you. We won't blame you. Like it everywhere you can. In addition, the reviews are in, and there isn't anything major right now. Nothing crazy review-wise. We didn't see any big games coming out in the last day or so.
The reviews actually aren't in.
They aren't in, rather. The reviews are in, and no, they're not.
They're not.
They're not. You got it right the first time. I was trying to be clever, but it didn't work. Speaking of people who often are trying to be clever and usually succeeding, Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser has opened a new studio called Absurd Ventures. I feel like that's a good name for that. Absurd Ventures in Games. Quite a name. I think that might be a little too descriptive. We don't need to know what medium. Like if it's a game studio, it's like I
Very
assume.
straightforward.
Yeah. Houser has previously left Rockstar in March 2020, and Houser is a big piece of Rockstar. He co-founded Rockstar in 1998, and he's been the primary writer for all of the major games, Grand Theft Auto series, the Red Dead Redemption series, and the Bully and Max Payne 3 games, which are, these are beloved games, huge tentpoles of the gaming industry, especially for story and how we've seen that kind of progress over the last couple decades. Houser's been slowly kind of, moving away from the limelight, was never super big into being, pushed out, and hasn't even been in public for Rockstar since 2014, since they made the money printing machine that is Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah. Matt, what do you think about this? Are you a big Rockstar guy? Do you think this is going to affect the games going forward with Houser? Or without, rather, Houser?
I would say I'm a Rockstar guy. I've enjoyed the stories and all the Grand Theft Auto games. I enjoyed Red Dead Redemption 2. I didn't like the original as much as a lot of other people, but I enjoyed Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot. It was probably my favorite game that year. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that comes down to Dan Houser's writing and the stories that he created. And so this is interesting. Now, what's weird is it's not 100% clear that he's intending to make games here. His new business is listed as being for ready-made interactive leisure and entertainment software development. So I guess you could say that's probably games, but it's not 100%.
Well, it's called Absurd Ventures in. Maybe it is important that he called it Absurd Ventures in Games, because clearly it's not clear otherwise that it's a game studio.
I guess. But it's not it's weird. It's not there's no indication this is definitely a video game development studio. I don't know. Maybe it's a publisher or something. I don't really know.
Do you think he bought the IP for Leisure Suit Larry? Is this a Leisure Suit Larry surprise comeback from Dan Houser?
I don't think Leisure Suit Larry's coming back.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's coming back. By the way, this comes from Video Games Chronicle. Just want to throw the source out there to those guys.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this is interesting. I kind of figured with all the crazy amount of money that he made and probably still has coming in that he would just go off and be retired and enjoy the rest of his life. But opening up this new studio,
like the people who made Leisure Suit Larry are now yachting around the world, having a lovely time.
Yeah, living off that
one. Could have been Houser.
So it's interesting that he's coming back. I'm immediately intrigued in whatever he's going to do, just because everything he's really done has been good. I mean, everything's been
Hmm.
gold.
Yeah.
So why would you not be excited, especially if you're into funny, clever stories and with Red Dead, I mean, there's some humor in that, but it's also, it's more dramatic, serious type story. So this guy can do it all. He's a really great
Yeah.
writer. So yeah, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, and also I think it really kind of continues on our trend that we've been noticing of major players at formerly huge game
Yeah,
studios or still huge game studios leaving off to run their own studios and start their own new projects while the studio continues on. So
that's
kind
a
of
great point.
interesting. Yeah. Also, another great point that I won't belabor because it's more of a lead-in to the content elsewhere on our website. But we did actually have a bit of a talk about this on this week's Game Groofs, which is coming out on Sunday. We didn't talk about Hauser specifically leaving, but we did talk about GTA 6, the rumors around that, and whether or not that's going to have a story, especially in the wake of Hauser leaving. So, if you're interested more in topics and discussion about GTA 6 and whether or not the future of Rockstar will be a story-full future, feel free to check out Game Grooves at goodnightgroofs.com for a longer talk about that with more people than just our faces.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. We were specifically brought him up, and then like after recording, we saw the news article about him
Yep.
opening this new studio. Yeah.
Yep.
So real quick, Game Groofs on the available to the public Sunday right now. Came out this morning, available to $3 plus patrons over on the page.
Yeah, so check out, feel free if you don't know it. We have Patreon, and we would love any support, dollar, anything. I mean, we can talk about it later, but still, it's a good way to check out some of our stuff a little bit earlier and get on the ground floor of game groups. Speaking of things, we were just talking about something that might be games, might not. Who knows what's going to happen? Speaking of something that we thought was like that, and it's finally happening. Ghost of Tsushima, director's cut. It's real. We've been teased about it for a whole month. I feel like the entire time we've been doing GG Replay, we've kind of been like talking about, is this going to happen? People keep talking about it. And now it's official. And it's soon, August 20th, the director's cut for Ghost of Tsushima will feature the rumored Iki Island expansion, new story, new enemies. What are you thinking about this, Matt? And will you pick it up? What do you think about the pricing on this?
So I'm playing through Ghost of Tsushima right now. We've talked about this a few times already, but I tried it last year when it first came out. Just didn't hook me right away, so I'm going back to it now. But and I'm enjoying it. It's a great game.
Mhm.
I'll have more to talk about it next week on Game Groove, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm gonna pick this up. If you already own the PS4 version, it'll be a $20 upgrade to the director's cut for PS4.
Super
thirty
fair.
dollars. Yeah, I mean, especially because you're getting an expansion, right? So
Yeah.
you're getting another at least smaller game, right?
Yeah.
If you have the PS5, you can get a $30 upgrade with PS5 enhancements, and those enhancements are going to include dynamic 4K resolution that's targeting 60 FPS, haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and then something people really wanted, which is the Japanese lip sync.
Yep.
So that's exciting. $30 I think is fair. It would be nice if the PS5 upgrade was free like it has been for some other games, and
Yep.
it'd be nice if it was just $20 to upgrade for the expansion content. But I still think $30 is fair. I mean,
I wonder how much content there is in Nikki Allen expansion. Do we have like an hour estimate? Do we have anything really? Because it makes me think. Because I'm thinking about things like Lost Light, or even like as a big Spider-Man fan, I paid $50 for Miles Morales,
yeah.
when the original Spider-Man was $60 or whatever. So, I'm wondering like $20 seems like a steal if you already own the game. I
Let's see
wonder
here.
how much content there is on that, and if that's like the comparison of pricing to that. Because that if it's even anything close to 6 hours, 8 hours, like that's a very worthwhile pricing.
So Infamous First Light was 4 hours. Let's see. Uncharted Lost Legacy was like 7 hours. I'm just going by how long to beat, and these are the
Yep.
main story hours. So if it's like somewhere in between that, if it's like maybe 5 6 hours, that seems fair. I
It's
mean,
like
Lost Legacy
seven
was
and a half
40
hours for
bucks.
Miles Morales.
Yeah.
I
So
just
if it's
looked, yeah.
like maybe 6 hours or so for the
Yeah.
main story, I think that's fair. Um,
I think that's a killer deal for 6 hours of story.
and it doesn't
That's
that
really good.
doesn't seem unrealistic at all. Like I totally
Yeah,
could see that. So I think
100%.
this is awesome. This is good for everyone, and yeah, it's a fair deal, and it's coming August 20th, so it's like a month and a half away. So
We love it.
yeah,
Uh, Shifting our focus to things that are definitely not a month and a half away.
hmm.
The MMO Palia, we're all, and by we, I mean us at the Goodnight Groofs, are all very excited as all hopeless romantics for MMORPGs.
Oh,
Singularity
yes.
6 has announced a new $30 million investment to the MMO Palia. That's really great right off the top. They previously received $19 million in seed funding, so this is over double, 150% what they got previously, which is incredible. That's amazing, and also they've already begun alpha testing, and I believe 200 lucky individuals, very lucky individuals, in their official Discord server are currently alpha testing the game. I'm really psyched. It looks like the game is already well on its way. I get the feeling that they've already got a pretty workable version, in some respects. So the idea that they're now injecting over double the money they already have into the game just makes me even more excited, and clearly shows that, like, in some ways they have enough to present to investors or to whoever else, that this is something that could really make money enough that they're confident to give them this much money.
Yeah, I mean, so that's about $50 million in investments now that we know of.
Huge.
So there might be smaller investments too that they just didn't announce. So yeah, I mean that's a really good amount of money to start.
Yeah.
It's still difficult to build a full MMO on $50 million, but it's definitely a good start. It's better than most that have
Yeah.
tried lately, right? It's they're not, at least so far, they're not like going the Kickstarter route, right? So
Yeah.
this seems legit. Like I think this is gonna happen, and I think this is gonna work out pretty well. There's belief behind it at the very least with these investments. People don't just throw around $30 million to a video game that they don't think is uh, or that they think's gonna fail. So
Yeah.
this has got my hopes up, to be honest.
I
Even
I
more
agree,
so.
and as we see more and more of these, again, stalwarts from Epic and from Blizzard and from all these other studios coming together to make another game, I think that helps when they have experience, proven track records in the industry, connections to funding and things like that. I think that really helps to kind of boost this for them, which is awesome. And I'm really excited, especially because we're seeing an MMO take a different direction, and I really appreciate that. As we were talking about again a little bit on the Game Groups podcast and some other things too, talking about New World, talking about other games. There's a lot of games that are trying to go the traditional route because anytime an MMO tries to do something a little different, it doesn't succeed. And even then, I mean, almost any MMO that isn't WoW doesn't succeed.
Right.
So it's really hard to go off the beaten path, and I really love that Palia is trying to do something a little different, trying to become more about like the socialization, about the maybe the simulated aspects, less on the combat. I think it's just so interesting to do something different. So I think we can all say that we're going to be following this very closely at the Goodnight Grooves.
And it's a cute art style that is just really
Yeah,
popular right now. So
yeah,
it's one of those really accessible art styles that is probably also going to be easy on most PCs. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
love
exciting.
it. Big fan. So yeah, we've been talking about a couple times in the recent GG replays, a lot of the blue box conspiracies, a lot of the stuff. There's a lot of heat on Hideo Kojima right now, and we have a couple stories kind of talking about the adjacent feelings, the reactions, almost seemingly in the gaming industry right now. One thing that has come out is that Hideo Kojima and Microsoft has signed a letter of intent for Kojima Productions to develop a game for Xbox's cloud services. This is a source coming from Venture Beat. Um, what are we thinking? Are we thinking, has this put an end to some of these blue box studios rumors? Has this changed our feelings a little bit? Now is this gonna, obviously this isn't gonna be a Sony game necessarily. I don't know. What are you thinking, Matt, as someone who's been looking into this a lot and really following Kojima a lot in the last month or so?
That's the thing. Like we don't know if this is necessarily Xbox exclusive. We don't know if maybe this is a game that could be on multiple platforms, or like if this agreement makes it so he has to work with Xbox exclusively. Can he also have
Uh-huh.
a game going with Sony? We don't really know the details. We just know that Xbox is now interested in Kojima, and Kojima's interested in working with them. It sounds like obviously Kojima, the auteur he is, the experimental person he is, working with the cloud stuff that Microsoft has going
Makes
on.
sense.
What kind of cool stuff can he do with that? I don't know, but I'm sure he's got
We had
some
a
crazy shit in his mind.
strand style game. Now we're gonna have
we
a
had
cloud style game.
yeah.
Perfect.
So this is exciting but weird. I mean, you think Kojima, you automatically think PlayStation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe
this is
he's
strange.
yeah. Maybe it's another burned bridge for him. I don't know.
As far as the blue box stuff, I don't know what to believe with that anymore.
Well, you know what? With that, I'll just blend right in. There's another story that we have here in the docket that's also going to take credence a little bit away from the blue box stuff, and that is the rumor. Well, we see Bloober team is partnering with Konami. Kojima is famously from Konami, built Silent Hill there. We're seeing a lot of rumors saying that Bloober team
well, this
possibly
isn't
is
a
working
rumor.
on a
This is
new.
official. They announced this
Well, I know
partnership.
it's a rumor that they're partnering with Konami. Sorry, but we don't know that it's a Silent Hill game, right? That's not
Right.
official.
Correct.
But a lot of people could assume it's a Silent Hill game
Yeah.
because they are a horror game developer.
Yeah.
Bloober is known for Layers of Fear and its sequel, Observer, Blair Witch, and most recently The Medium. And this is controversial because Bloober is not always known for making 100% track record of great games. I don't know how many of these you've played. I played Blair Witch for a good few hours. I was not overly impressed, which is too bad because I was pretty excited for it.
I've
Yeah,
played.
but
Sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. So yeah, and also, how you feeling about this? Yeah, how do you feel, especially with the Blue Box conspiracy? How are we feeling now? We're getting this too. It really feels like the industry is kind of like Kojima and Konami, and everyone's like, no, we're not doing it, and this is why, because this is what we're really doing.
So I've played the two Layers of Fear games. I liked them. I don't think that they're like amazing games, but I like them as an experience, like as an art style, like an art house experience.
Yeah,
They're kind of cool in that way. I was interested in the medium, but then I saw just that it did terribly
yeah,
critically, and so you're looking at like this, what's essentially like a double A studio that is
yeah,
likely now going to take control of Silent Hill, at least part of Silent Hill. So
yeah.
I understand the frustration there, but also, maybe with some extra money behind them, Bloober team can do something cool with Silent Hill. I don't know. But yeah, I understand the frustration, but money can fix a lot of those things, and Konami, I think, has a lot of money. I mean, they haven't been super active in the video game industry lately, but I know
Yeah.
that they do a bunch of other stuff in Japan. They have like
Yeah.
casinos and like hotels, I think, even, or something like that.
Mhm.
I think they run gymnasiums. Like, it's really weird.
Okay.
They do a
Okay.
lot of stuff. But yeah, recently not necessarily a ton of gaming stuff. Um, but I mean, people want Silent Hill. I saw
Yeah.
I saw a comment somewhere where this is like a monkey's paw situation where like
Ha.
everyone wanted a Silent Hill game and now it's Bloober team making it most
That's
likely.
so funny.
I think there's also a rumor that there's two Silent Hill projects that might be in the works. So it's Bloober teams and then something else that we don't know,
And then
which
secret Kojima
yeah,
project.
which goes back to this whole blue box thing, right? So
Yep. Maybe Bloober Team is secretly making like a double A weird game, and then the true. I think anyone expecting that is going to be severely
I mean,
disappointed.
think about
Don't
it.
get your hopes up, folks.
Bloober team?
Oh my God,
I
we
don't
just
know.
blew it. There's blue all over the.
I
Oh my
don't
God,
know.
we might be in on it. I'm not sure.
But yeah,
Oh my
the whole
goodness.
thing, to wrap it all up, Kojima working with Xbox is strange, but I mean, they have some cool stuff going on with the cloud stuff,
Yep,
so I'm sure he's
we've
going
seen
to
it
find a
before.
way to make that interesting. I mean, when I think of the cloud stuff, I think about, I know Sea of Thieves uses some of that tech, I think for the
Yes.
water mostly,
Hmm.
but then Crackdown 3 was supposed to use it for like the building destruction. I don't
Yeah.
really know if that worked out, but obviously some potential here with the cloud stuff, and Kojima's gonna make it work, I'm sure, if that ends up
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, we've seen this before, kind of famous Sony developers kind of doing a one-off with Microsoft. I don't know how Microsoft. We saw Insomniac making Sunset Overdrive. And now we're seeing Kojima kind of go over and do a project as well. So it's kind of interesting to wonder
Yeah,
what
that was
Microsoft
weird.
is doing too. That was such a bizarre one-off because they did it once and then they never did it again, and they made countless amazing games since then on PlayStation.
And
So
now they
kind of
are a
kind of funny.
PlayStation Studio.
And now they're a PlayStation Studio. So
So
kind of it's
they
almost
came
like they're
home.
like, "But okay, they gave us the deal to get purchased by PlayStation. Let's just try to see if we miss the other side." They're like, "Nah, forget it. We'll just sign with you. We're good." That wasn't that great. Um, yeah. Okay, and finally, last story of the day. Speaking of PlayStation and studios, Herman Hulst, head of PlayStation Studios, has announced the addition of Nixxes software to PlayStation Studios 2 days after they just announced their acquisition of Housemarque. So yeah, we're moving on. We're getting even more studios to the PlayStation conglomerates. And Matt, tell us a little bit about Nixxes. Is there anything interesting here? Is this, you know, much of a, what does this mean for Sony going forward?
I think this is really interesting. I think this is a massive deal. We put this last because it's not really true, or it's not really, we're not sure what this could possibly mean, but the
Yeah,
possible implications are massive. So, this is a Dutch studio that has ported more than 15 games to PC. They primarily worked with Square Enix, former and formerly Eidos Interactive properties. They've ported the Tomb Raider reboot games, the Deus Ex games, and a bunch more to PC. So yeah, I mean, this is what this tells me is this is Sony is looking to port more of their
yeah,
first party games to PC, and we talked a lot about this. This was one of the main things we talked
yeah.
about in the Game Groofs that's coming out on episode 2, and so you can check out the more in depth conversation there. But this is certainly really interesting,
Big
and
deal.
um,
Sorry, it has the potential to be a huge deal.
yeah,
It
yeah.
depends on what Sony, it depends on if this is almost like a red herring and they're just kind of, they're going to use it for some random stuff, or if this is them kicking off a totally new strategy of going for PC. And we really have no idea at this point.
Well, it's interesting because if so, they haven't officially announced the Blue Point acquisition yet,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because they it's almost like they're acquiring very specific studios or studios that do specific things now, like Blue Point
Yeah.
with the remasters and remakes, now Nixxes with the PC ports. So it's like they
Yeah.
want to get these studios that specialize in things. I know that there were issues with the Horizon PC port at first, so maybe the way Sony sees it is they're just like, let's just bring in someone who really knows how to do this. So let's
Yeah.
not screw these up going forward, and let's get this ready and put our games on PC. So I think it's really interesting. I hope that's what they do. I
It
want to
is.
see all the first party Sony games
Yeah.
on PC, even if it's like 6 months timed exclusive or whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
even
just
if it doesn't become their major player, it doesn't change their entire strategy. It is just cool to imagine that you can play them on there if you want to. Just more games in more places is always great. So I'm totally for it if that's how that ends up playing. Yeah, and I believe for that will be it for this episode of GG Replay. Just a few plugs and reminders. Feel free, as we've been talked about a million times, right off the top. Game Groofs, we talked about a lot of this stuff. We talked about GTA 6 in further detail. We talked more about PC and the Sony future and how Phil Spencer, what is he up to? Maybe he has something afoot in this. So feel free to check out Game Groofs. It's coming out Sunday morning. Or if you are a $3 or higher patron, it also will be coming out. It's already out, so you can go listen to that or watch that right now, which is awesome. If you enjoy GG Replay or other content on goodnightgroofs.com, feel free to head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. We have a $1 tier, $3 tier, $5 tier. Anything you give helps, and it is just so massive in us being able to give you awesome content and keep making this and just keep growing. And seriously, everyone listening to this and watching this is so amazing, and we really, really appreciate you. In addition, this show also exists in an audio-only format. If you are currently on YouTube and looking at our beautiful faces, and you think, "Man, I wish I could just listen to this in my car and not look at their dumb idiot faces," being a little mean but right now. I don't know why you'd say that about us,
you
but
jerk.
you jerk. Feel free to check us out. We are on any podcast provider that is out there. If for some reason you don't see us on your podcast provider, feel free to email us to goodnightgroofs@gmail.com, and we will make sure to figure that out. In addition, any and all support you can give to us is amazing. We love you. We appreciate you. And we're so glad that you are checking us out right now. Anything else to say before we're out of here, Matt?
I think you just did that perfectly. That was great. All those
Thanks. I
plugs worked out really well.
love it.
Thank you guys so much again for watching. We really appreciate it. And then yeah, I mean, if you are able to support us on Patreon, that's massive for us. It's
Huge.
going to help us go a long way.
And I mean, just a shout out, because why not? We do it on the Game Grooves, but we only have one Patreon right now. So just huge shout out to Ish. Thank you so much for being our one patron right now. You believed in us when nobody else did. We appreciate you. So thank you. Yeah, I think that'll be it for today's GG Replay. I hope everyone in America has a lovely July 4th weekend, and you enjoy yourself out there, and everyone stays safe. And we will be back on Monday. I don't think we're taking like a day off or anything, right? So we'll be back on Monday with more GG Replay if there is news. I don't know if hopefully there will be, and we will see you then. So until then, have a wonderful night and good night, Groofs.
Be safe this weekend.